check the paper, just about the time it goes dark in Barrow, there's always a little human interest piece about it. And I was actually living in Minnesota at the time and living through one of their winters. And they tell you not to go outside or your flesh will freeze on contact. So I was just, dealing with that, and I read the little interest piece. And what actually fascinated me at first, I was like, oh yeah, the darkness would be really, that's cool. But it was alcohol was not illegal. You could bring it in, but they couldn't sell it there because of the increasing suicide rate during the time. I just started thinking, God, what kind of tough people live here? What kind of people live in this place? And I tore it out. This is, 12 years ago. So I tore out the little piece. I wrote vampires in the corner, because that seemed like the obvious. I was like, let's start vampires. And then I just sat on it. Me and Ben started talking, and the first thing that we really agreed on, I wanted to write a story about scary vampires, and he wanted to draw scary vampires. And then the more we looked into it, the more we realized there hadn't been any for a long time. I mean, even the good vampire movies that have come out in the last 30, 40 years, they're not scary.
We did want to keep the vampires away, because really, to me personally, my last film's a drama. I want to do a horrible horror film, where it's horrible, as opposed to an action movie or a fantasy movie. But core of that is a human drama. So the only way to keep the human drama going is to, not have the blood and the gore and the violence up front.
This seemed original, to have vampires portrayed in a way that we hadn't seen them. I think Steve had once said it was kind of the anti-Buffy, and that appealed to us at the time. We were looking for something that was unusual with vampires.
Danny, me, and the linguist between us, we sat down, we figured out what we wanted to say. We designed a language that didn't sound like any kind of English language or any kind of human language, that was based on feeding, eating, hate, simple things. And then we worked out his backstory. I'm trying to talk as quickly as I can. His backstory in his mind, and that he read Spinoza. He was an intelligent man, and he'd come to the point in his mentality that he believed that morality was a petty human trait, and he hated them for it.
I was in the room developing this thing with Rob and Sam before I'd even finished the comic series. Right. So I had this sort of general idea of where we wanted to go, but then we got in the room, and one of the things that we both really liked about it is that the core story is Eben and Stella.
We thought it was a great idea. What really appealed to Sam and myself and our partners at that time was the idea of having a love story kind of as the backbone to a horror movie.
And so we just spent a lot of time working on that. It was just so strange. I was typing up the screenplay probably about a month before I had to write the final issue. So it was, but as far as just working with Rob and Sam, I've never had so much fun.
On the one hand, we were having too much fun to actually be daunted by it, and on the other hand, the physical stress of doing the thing, staying up all those nights. And we had like 2 months of night shoots, which really people start to go loopy.
I'm literally having like the anti-Hollywood experience with this whole thing. They have, treated mine and Ben's baby so well. I just can't believe it.